Good morning, Bournemouth fans. Hope you're well. In 24 hours' time, Bournemouth are going to be entertaining Manchester United at the Vitality Stadium in a match which is live on BT Sport. And hopefully we can start attacking and scoring some goals again. Hopefully we'll be watching the game celebrating England winning the Rugby World Cup. I know that some of you, Gary Chapman, are not interested in rugby. However, they did incredibly well against New Zealand in the semis, and the club is opening at 8:45 a.m. tomorrow. Several areas outside the ground and inside the ground, in the 1910 bar, for instance, and also in the hospitality suites, etc. Great Escape Bar opening at 8:45. So if you want to get there early, park up, and you can watch the Rugby World Cup final. Alcohol will not be served until 10 a.m. though. I'll tell you where you can get alcohol served. This is going to be the last time we're going to majorly push this, but this here, Beer 52, you may have seen that we talked about it on the podcast, and also I've done a video on it as well. It's basically free beer if you want to give it a go. All sorts of different types of beer, cans, bottles. I'm only saying this now because you get 2 extra free beers if you sign up within the next week. I think there's like 1 week to go. But basically, Beer 52 is a monthly beer subscription club. But with Back of the Net, special link that you can see below, you can get your first crate for free. Well, in fact, all you got to do is just cover the £4.95 delivery. If you want to cancel after that, absolutely fine. You've got a box of 10 beers. If you want to carry it on, though, you can. They basically source beers from all around the globe. The first one you'll get is Korea, a Korean-themed box. You'll get a snack in there as well. Maybe it's some pork scratchings, maybe, and Ferment magazine as well. So yeah, do check that out. And every purchase helps the podcast financially as well, so it just when I should be working during the day and I'm doing videos, it sort of helps a little bit to pay for my time. But also we're looking to get some new equipment as well. Gonna get a 4G dongle to get the videos uploaded much quicker as well, little things like that. We're here for Man United though. They played in the week against Chelsea, and did you see that free kick? It's been compared with Ronaldo, but Marcus Rashford, take a bow. That was pretty good, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because their season's not been particularly great. Let's see what team they actually started out with. I mean, it was Romero, Lindelof, Maguire, Rocco, Wan-Bissaka, McTominay. I mean, you look at it and there are a few names that have been chucked in there, like Williams, not too sure of, but other than that, they are players that are in and around the first team. So what team he puts out on the weekend, it should be very interesting. Anyway, this morning in the press conference, Eddie Howe spoke to the media, and I'm just looking at a few tweets now from Peter Rutzler, the AFC Bournemouth correspondent for The Athletic, which is a great subscription service for quality content on AFCB. Now, I know I mentioned it last week. I'm not being paid to say this whatsoever, but so many people during the week on Twitter have been saying, I don't usually do subscriptions, but check out The Athletic because it's quality content, and it really is. I think you can bag yourself a free month as well if you go through a certain link. You might have to follow him on Twitter at Peter Rutzler for more information on that. Eddie Howe mentioned the rugby and said, I'm not a massive rugby follower, but I've watched a bit of it. From a coaching perspective, huge respect to Eddie Jones and his team. But going back to AFC Bournemouth, he said, on clean sheets, it's something that we needed. We felt to be a truly successful team, we needed to tighten up defensively. We've done that, but have we done it at the expense of our attacking threat? Eddie Howe said that Arsenal and Watford weren't as bad from an attacking sense, which I do actually agree with, because we did manage to get a number of clear-cut chances which we just failed to take. It was that Norwich game that was pretty poor. All we've got to think of is that Dom Solanke chance. He did say that Norwich was disappointing, but he went on to say he backs his players. Speaking of Man United, he said in their last few games they've played really well. They've got a really good manager who has given them stability. And talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's challenge, he says he's handled himself really well considering the pressure and building for the future. Team news for AFC Bournemouth yet? Well, David Brooks, as we know, is not ready yet. Junior Stanislas is working his way back, and Dan Gosling is actually training now. We may possibly expect to see a substitute bench appearance for Gosling. Too soon for him to be thrown back in. Adam Smith is fine after his eye injury that he sustained in the last match. Now, one of the journalists asked about the transfer window. Of course, it's January, but Eddie Howe said January seems a long way away. My focus is on coaching the team. Now, if you would like to ask Peter any questions, hop online at 3 o'clock and you can actually do a Q&A with him as part of The Athletic. So it's definitely worth checking out. That Eddie Howe interview is also going to be on AFCB TV throughout the week. There's nothing more to say. I'm just sort of browsing through this, but yeah. By the way, if you're a fan of jam roly-polys, Mansion, the sponsor for AFC Bournemouth, are going to be giving out some outside the game tomorrow. So Harry Redknapp is going to be loving this. You know what I was giving out yesterday? It's it's the only time of year where you can give out sweets to kids and no one bats an eyelid. I bought £8 worth of Mawams yesterday. Maynards, Bassett's, these lollipop things, fruit, salads, and I was expecting loads of them to go because I live on a road where it's just a treasure trove because it's house after house after house, long road, and unbelievable that I've still got a whole box, but oh well, more for me. So we've done the beer, we've done the sweets, let's talk football. So team formation wise, chewy, I shouldn't put this in my mouth right now. Right, this is what I think Eddie's going to go for. Ramsdale, Rico, Ake, Cook, Smith. That pretty much writes itself, doesn't it? It's the midfield that we're worrying about. Now, Billing and Lerma are both one yellow card away from a suspension. So you'd think, will he rest one of them? I don't know. I mean, I've got an ideal world formation. Let's just cut to that a minute. We'll take that away. This is my ideal world formation, right? Now, you'll have heard me mention on the podcast with Neil Dawson. If you haven't seen that, go to afcbpodcast.com and take a listen. Really interesting tactical insight with Neil. And he sort of exclaimed that the 4-3-3 is the formation that most attacking teams play in the Premier League, and that's what your sort of Liverpool's, Man City's, even Leicester are famed for having a 4-3-3. And it works. 4-4-2 does provide an element of rigidity, but there's a particular selection of players that could be chosen tomorrow, which means that we can kind of do both. So picture this, you've got the 4 or 5, including Ramsdale, at the back, and then people say we've been lacking creativity. So what about 3 of Lewis Cook, Jefferson Lerma and Philip Billing? And then when times are tough and we need to get back, you've got Harry Wilson on one side, Josh King on the other, and then Callum Wilson spearheading the attack. But what you can do when we're pushing forward, Harry and King can push forward. And Harry was very good. When he came on against Watford, I think he's better running centrally than he is down the wings. Because then he's got options of going left and right. And you just, against Watford, you just wanted him to pull the trigger. So you could see him playing behind King and Wilson up top, almost like a David Brooks role. But then when we need to, we can come back into this 4-4-2, almost 4-5-1, with packing out the midfield, making sure, because Man United are going to be heavily on the ball, and it's going to be in midfield tomorrow. And if we have the 5 in midfield, at least we might be able to gain a little bit of traction there, and hopefully we can then sort of morph into a 4-3-3 when attacking. Because I've seen Harry Wilson on the wing lots of times, as you have, and I don't think he's been that effective. Whereas centrally, he looks much, much better. Therefore, that's the team I would love to see that kind of formation tomorrow. Man United in their last match against Chelsea, they didn't have a lot of possession. They had 34%, whereas Chelsea had 66%. So I've got a good feeling about tomorrow, and it'd be so AFC Bournemouth to draw at home to Norwich and then get a point away at bottom of the league and then get 3 points at home against Man United. I don't know, but I've got a good feeling about tomorrow. But this is the team I think he's going to go for. Let's show it again. I think Lerma and Billing, one of them will probably get sacrificed because of the yellow card. I'm going for Billing. And then on the left-hand side, I think Dan Juma, whilst he did okay against Watford, I don't think he did enough. Therefore, I think it's going to be going back to Josh King on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, Harry Wilson, with Solanke returning with Callum Wilson up front. Solanke does hold the ball up quite well. It's just when he comes back and makes those stupid errors, it's just not so good. That's what I think is going to happen. I've kind of looked at a number of forums and seeing what they think about it, and that's the amalgamated look that I've got for the side. Love to know what you think. Put them in the comments below. Also, your predictions too. Really hoping for a good attacking game of football where our performance is better. I think, the problem for us is that, for me personally, I'm not really feeling the optimism of keeping clean sheets as much as others. Whilst I personally think that 3 points against newly promoted Sheffield United, Norwich and Watford has not been good enough, it's the manner of the performances that's worried me more. I think individually and shape-wise we're simply not at the attacking levels that we've come to expect, but thankfully our recent defensive solidities actually prevented us from being in a worse predicament. If we lose on Saturday and end up sitting 15th in the table, I think fans will then start to undoubtedly analyse the situation with a little bit more scrutiny. But at the moment, I think that the faux league position that we've got is slightly wooing supporters a little bit. That said, I do feel good about the game, and each and every season we do seem to have a turning point, don't we? And if the turning point is now in the position that we're in the league, then that's not a bad position to start from, is it? But anyway, I'm going for 2-1 AFC Bournemouth tomorrow. Maybe my head's gone, maybe it's not, but let me know what you think, and we'll see you outside the ground tomorrow, outside the 1910 bar, just on the other side of the fence. This is where, so yeah, just here, and I hope I can see you then for some post-match chats. You're all very welcome. See you tomorrow.